Do you guys remember Naughty Dog, bro? They used to be based. Every game they put out was an instant buy. Now things are not looking so good for them. Today we're checking out a video, a nice little reaction. The video's by Balular News. Sorry if I butchered your name. We're gonna be checking that out today.
The suffering of generations must be endured to achieve our divine end.
That's how I'm feeling right now.
Naughty Dog's next game. It's called Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, and they printed this on
Is it a sci-fi game? Is it a religious game? Nobody knows.
a commemorative coin that they gave to their staff for 2025. And do you know what's really funny about this? It's not just a game thing. It's pretty much actual.
You know what I got for doing good work at my job? A bonus.
Really true, because functionally that is the work ethic of Naughty Dog's leadership, and what we're going to dive into today is all of the reporting around just how much of a disaster it seems their internal game development has been. You see, they just put their staff through nearly 2 months of big crunch, all to deliver an internal demo. And the thing is,
It's insane to me that a company like Naughty Dog has to do 2 months of internal crunch to release not a demo to the public, an internal demo, which means the upper executives at Sony were like, tick, Naughty Dog, we want to see what y'all are working on. That's how abysmal the leadership at Naughty Dog is right now.
the full game isn't even planned to release for years, which just makes us think, hang on a second, are you basically going to be crunching for years upon years to make any of this happen?
100%, they're not going to have a choice. They're going to have to crunch. Because if it's supposed to come out mid-2027 and you guys are releasing an internal demo in 2026, if you don't hit that deadline, buddy, I think it's going to be the end for Western Studios and Sony.
You see, for years we've heard
Naughty Dog is like the last lifeline that these Western Studios is. The big Western Studios still have a hold on the Sony market, but if Naughty Dog flops with Intergalactic, I think it's done.
hell stories about Naughty Dog, basically them just throwing bodies at the problem and burning through their staff. Well, doesn't seem like much has changed. In March 2020, The Last of Us Part 2 was getting ready for release after loads and loads of delays. Back at the time, Jason Schreier was working for Kotaku, and he dropped this bombshell report. And I really do mean bombshell. In it, we learned that Naughty Dog was crunching, and crunching hard. Staff were describing 12-hour days and weekend work, pretty much going on and on and on for a long-ass time, the sort of thing that we in the industry would call a death march.
I love it. I love it when companies overwork their employees so hard to the point where the employees quit. And then a couple years later, the company still in name is called Naughty Dog, but the internals of it have been ripped apart and changed out so many times that it's just a former shell of what it used to be and is currently being run by a bunch of retarded activists.
And it was all in service of getting the game ready at absolutely any cost. But to make things even worse, Jason's report wasn't just about The Last of Us Part 2. It actually revealed that this crunch stuff was going on as far back as 2016's Uncharted 4. Now that's a game
You think it's going to be different this time for Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet? Probably.
the co-director kinda
Oh my God.
his reflection on the drive that leads many people in game development to crunch, which is of course rather easy to say when you know, you're kind of the boss. Now, to make this sort of thing relevant to like you and me, I just have it in my head, what's been going on with Naughty Dog? Why has their output kind of decreased over time? Why has a lot of it been like remakes, remasters, that kind of thing?
Personally, I believe Naughty Dog started going on the decline with Uncharted 4. Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, amazing games, great games based. And then Uncharted 4, it was still a good game. I didn't think it was bad, but like they removed the fantastical element about it. It became a story about reuniting with family and like overcoming past problems and whatnot. And I was still pretty young the first time I played it, so it didn't really bother me. But now that sorry, the dog. Now that I think about it, I see that Uncharted 4 was the beginning of them distancing themselves from their origin of telling these like heavy, greedy stories and whatnot. And then when you start seeing remasters and re-releases, you would assume the reason why they're doing that is they're trying to buy time for their next release. But I mean, it was just like re-release, remaster. Uncharted, not Uncharted, The Last of Us 1 and The Last of Us 2 both got re-releases before a 10-year mark, which is like, why? Why? We don't need a re-release of a game that isn't even 10 years old. Why don't you guys remaster Jak and Dexter? Why don't you? No, that's not Insomniac. I mean, that's not Naughty Dog. Yeah, remaster Jak and Dexter. People have been crying for a Jak and Dexter game. What do? Let's kill Joel and let's remaster Uncharted, the side one where you play as the two chicks.
And I have to wonder if they've just lost a lot of their staff because they've ended up being a bit of a shit place to work. Now,
they do try to take care of you, providing food, encouragement to go take breaks, said one former developer, but for the most part, the implication is get the job done at all cost. One major consequence of this culture has been attrition on the 20 non-lead designers in the credit of 2016 Uncharted 4. A whopping 14 to 70% are no longer at the studio. Well, would you look at that? Which has a wide-ranging effect on the development of The Last of Us 2 and led to questions about the continued viability of Naughty Dog approach. You know what this sounds like? This sounds like when a company tells you that you have PTO, but nobody ever uses it. We have it, but no one uses it. Like, ever. Yeah. We also have sick days, but, nobody uses it. It's a way of letting you know, it's like, yeah, we have it, but we're going to make your life difficult, and we're going to make it hard for you to approve it if you need it, so you better not ask for it.
After that report went out, it seemed leadership kind of understood the problem. They said that they wanted to improve things after 2020, basically between the shift to remote work.
Improve things, as in we want to make more profit.
And the abuse that staff suffered during the launch window leaks. And by 2022, sources actually told Jason Schreier that a freshly implemented production team had actually improved things for the company. For a bit of a quote on that, well, in 2024, the QA lead, Patrick Gross, explained in a documentary how things had changed. Though obviously, given the existence of this video, I'm not too sure how it went. Here's what he said. When we onboard people, we tell them we have a reputation as a studio for crunching, and it's something that we don't want, and it's something we're not going to do anymore.
I once worked at a job. It's called Big Dog Payments. I'm not under NDA or anything like that, so I can talk about this. During the interview, they told me that what I was doing was not a scam, and that what we were doing were completely legal. Now, if you get into the nitty-gritty of it and you go on technicalities, technically, it was not illegal. And technically, it was not a scam. It was a scam. It was pure bullshit. The entire point of my job was to keep people on the subscription that they no longer needed. That was the point of my job, and I had to quit, right? Every other job I've worked in my life, they have never, under any circumstances, told me before, hey, what you're doing here, it's not illegal, okay? And I work in sales, and they haven't told me that, right? So for a company to be like, we have a reputation of being a crunch studio, but we want to change that. And it starts with you. No. It starts with the executives, the members of the board, the investors, and your team, essentially. It doesn't start with your new hires. You need to fix yourself internally before you start putting up branding and messaging. We're trying to make a change. Just change. Just stop it.
Hate to shock you, but the reports are that they are in fact doing it again.
Surprise, surprise.
It is down to pressure. That's because by the end of 2025, Naughty Dog were under severe pressure.
Good.
If you don't want to code or you're not into games, skip this. But if not, then I have got something for you, and that is boot.dev/Bellular News. They're today's sponsor.
Bellular.
Where the fuck were they? A decade ago when I was in...
I'm going to go boil water. I'm not going to skip the ad.
Computer science, there's
because I'm reacting to the video.
Teaches this stuff incalculably better. Now what they teach you is back-end development. That's the kind that lands 100k plus comp jobs, and they do it through a proper 12-month structured program that's like a role-playing game. I mean, literally, leaderboards, achievements, a Discord that actually helps. Over 750,000 students have completed 33.7 million lessons, which is wild, and that's including TypeScript, Go, and Python from the fundamentals up. So this is not some learn to code in 2 weeks silly scam thing. Boot teaches you the fundamentals that separate professional developers from vibe coders who ship security nightmares. And just take a look at their new training grounds feature. It's kind of wild. It knows what you've learned on their platform, and then it uses that to challenge you, basically generating personalized coding problems using spaced repetition so you actually learn. It's always growing, it's an actual community, and you can actually browse all of their contents for completely free. You only pay when you want to get stuck into all the interactivity and game-related stuff. To learn it all properly and get 25% off your first purchase, go to boot.dev/bellularnews. The way to save the most money is to do that on the annual plan, and of course that's backed up by the fact that if you're not happy, they will refund you on the spot. What we're talking about today then is 7 weeks of mandatory and seemingly unpaid overtime for Naughty Dog staff that ended just before Christmas. So, the team found themselves crunching again, even though we had all of this
Did he say 7 weeks of unpaid overtime?
7 weeks of mandatory and seemingly unpaid overtime for Naughty Dog.
7 weeks of mandatory unpaid overtime. That is insane. 7 weeks of unpaid overtime? You never. I was gonna say you couldn't pay me, but they didn't get paid. They didn't even get paid, bro. They didn't get paid to do it. That's insane. That's an instantaneous. I'm leaving.
Staff that ended just before Christmas. So, the team found themselves crunching again, even though we had all of this PR-ish stuff saying that, oh no, we don't do that sort of thing anymore. Now, this is an allegation that's coming from...
Yeah, we just did it since 2016. It's been 10 years that we've been living in a crunch culture. But that changes all with you, buddy. Trust me.
Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, and in his report, he cites people working on Intergalactic. And as for what was demanded of them, well, it was at a minimum 8 hours of extra log development time per week, all in office. And this
Did you say an extra 8 hours per week? That's an extra...
so overriding their previous 3-day per week policy. That's 3 days of having to work physically in the office. Now, obviously, if you're working 8 hours more a week and you're not being paid for those 8 hours, I think something's going fairly wrong. Now, what's on surface level weird, but I think is not surprising, is that in theory, leadership had actually placed guardrails on this sort of thing, trying to prevent it from happening. But in practice, well, they were telling staff they shouldn't work for more than 60 hours total each.
The employees were instructed not to work more than 60 hours a week. Hey! Only do a week and a half worth of week a week. Anything more than that is too much.
Obviously, that's quite a lot. So basically, staff had to end up threading a needle here. They had to meet management's demands without making management look bad on the actual official logs. You know, do a whole bunch of crunch, but make sure that your actual logs...
I wouldn't care, bro. If you're making me work extra, I'm logging every single hour, and you're just gonna have to fire me. I do not believe in unpaid work. That is insane. The gaming industry is cannibalizing itself. These mega-sized AAA dumpster fires of a studio are cannibalizing themselves. They've lost the good faith of their customers, and now this is what they're doing to their employees. You know what? I'll take the money that I would have spent on Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, such a dumbass name, and I will buy 5 indie games. And I'll make 5 videos on indie games, and then I'll make a video talking about the downfall of Naughty Dog when that eventually happens, because at the rate you guys are going, y'all are gonna hit a brick wall sooner or later.
Cover your boss's ass. Seems sketchy. Now, we currently understand that the crunch period has actually ended and that they successfully completed the demo before Christmas, meaning they can return to basically normal work, including...
This how bad are you at managing your company that Sony has to come down and be like, we need a demo of your ass game because we don't trust you no more. I hope every single developer that had to go through crunch and had to go through unpaid overtime leaves Naughty Dog. And I hope Naughty Dog crashes, burns, and fails.
Doing 3 days in the office as of January. Given that this sort of thing happened for an internal demo, so not the sort of thing you should need to crunch out, people are kind of worrying. And by worrying, well, I have a quote. They are wondering if overtime requirements will get worse later in the development cycle.
Of course! Of course they're gonna get worse. You guys needed to crunch for an internal demo. Something that should have been ready way before Sony got asked you guys for it. So of course, because you guys live in this stupid crunch culture, oh, I mean, it's okay. You guys can work from home. We'll just crunch later. Have people work at the office, regular hours, have a clear direction on where you want to take your game, and then put those resources into going into that direction instead of having all this stupidity going on and then, oh, we need to crunch at the last second. Like, that is a great way to kill your studio.
Have to wonder. I think we all know that's going to happen. I mean, if the past is even a slight indicator with this company, it's absolutely going to happen. Because, you see, this stuff was not about the release of the game. That's not what they were crunching for. The game isn't even expected until mid-2027. Let's play...
Delayed. Delayed. Calling it now.
Whether that'll happen or not. It's not currently some Last of Us Part 2 scenario. What this was all about was crunching a demo because of the internal pressure that Naughty Dog have been facing. And this is where I have another quote from Jason's report. This overtime period was an attempt to get the production back on track after several missed deadlines.
Several. Not one, not two, not three. Several. I'm going to assume at least 4. Like, how? How do you mismanage your company this bad that you miss deadline after deadline after deadline? To all the Naughty Dog devs, I am sorry you have an incompetent leadership and I don't even know who to blame. I just hope that you guys get your just reward.
And if you've been keeping up with what's going on at Sony, you'll know that there's probably quite a threat looming over the studio. This crunch was about shipping a demo for PlayStation. Now, milestone releases
no team is spared.
And in non-first party games, they're usually how you unlock your next stage of funding. So, you hit a milestone, you get your money. And this basically allows for feedback, course correction, and it lets publishers protect their money if development is completely going wrong. But if several missed deadlines, which is a direct quote from Jason's reporting, have already passed, then that does suggest something has gone deeply wrong at Naughty Dog, and has gone wrong at the worst possible time. And that's because right now, PlayStation are out for blood and efficiency. You see, in their 2024 business segment reports, Herman Hulst explained that they had, and I'll now go to a quote from the man himself, changed the way we support studios through central services, greater operational rigor, which, by the way, if you're at one of those studios, is what we call a veiled threat.
You know, as much as I hate Concord, I have to say I'm glad Concord was a thing, because the backlash was so intense for Concord that it could not be ignored, which is why we're seeing Sony crack down harder on these studios. And you know what? It's about time, because too many studios have gotten it in their heads that they're movie producers. Okay, that you're trying to make a show. Buddy, stick to video games. That is what you're good at. If you want to jump into Hollywood, take your money from making video games, start a film studio. Do not bring your stupid movie into my video games. I hate it. 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 Stop trying to make the movie game. Stop it. It's done. God of War 2018 did it well. The Uncharted series did it well. God of War Ragnarok is meh. But it was cool for the PS4, beginning of the PS5. We're done. Let's make gaming again. And I'm just going to go quickly through my Steam library to show you what I'm talking about, right? Oops, that's a store. Right, so we look at the games I play. Absalom, an amazing game with a great story. 90% of the game, 90% of the time that you're in the game, guess what? You're playing the game. Black Myth Wukong, your character doesn't even have... Sorry. Black Myth Wukong, your character doesn't even have any lines. One of the greatest games in the world. Blaze Blue Entropy Effect. The story can be completely ignored. I've got 70 hours on it. I mean, I've had it for a little... I've had it for a month about... Let's see. Ember and Blade, that's a demo. Night Swarm, another game where you can basically ignore the story and still have a great time playing the game. We got Elden Ring, Hades. Again, great story told through gameplay, not through cutscene after cutscene after cutscene after cutscene. I'm sick of all this stupid cutscenes. Games used to be about gaming, and at some point they're like, hey, let's make a movie, and I'm not here for it. And by the backlash that you guys have been getting, by how Sony's been behaving, the people are not here for it also. And it's time for you guys to wake up and understand, you guys are losing the plot. You guys are losing your player base. And if you guys don't stop messing things up, you guys are just going to be another footnote in the history books of gaming.
But also, you know, probably wise. But to go back to Herman, a much more intentional top-down approach to portfolio, increased oversight of our development processes, and he goes on and stuff, but you can basically understand that it's all in service of reducing costs, keeping your budgets on track, and, quote, balancing profit potential with associated risks. You know, not having another Concord, basically. And this is why 2 unannounced live service games at Bluepoint and Bend were cancelled in early 2025. Now,
I'm still mad that they canceled the live service Spider-Man game. Like, oh my god, that, if had been handled well, could have been amazing.
Timing here is actually real important. Early 2025 is before Concord goes and lights itself on fire and dies. So even before Concord imploded, PlayStation had already decided they were trying to get their risk in order. And by that time, we'd already had plenty of evidence. They'd laid off 8% of their employees globally, and they closed down London studios in early 2024. That's all stuff that can't be blamed on Concord, and those layoffs also did impact Naughty Dog. All of that feeds
Good.
into the story. I mean, if Naughty Dog aren't immune to layoffs, which we already know they're not, and they've missed several deadlines, which reports say that they have, well, would they be immune to having a game cancelled?
Of course not. Of course not. And you know what? I hope the game gets canceled. I haven't played it. I haven't seen any gameplay of the game. I hope it gets canceled, because looking at the game, looking at the introduction of the game, looking how the actor, the actor that plays the main character responds to people online, you know what it's giving? It's giving modern audience. And you know what? I am sick of these studios coming out with their modern audience games, and then it's like, oh great, I get to go another year with nothing new on the PlayStation catalog from these amazing studios because they keep making these dumbass games for this non-existent audience. The modern audience is not buying your game. I'm buying your game. You see this? This is a Majin Vegeta headband. You see this? This is a Dragon Ball Z Potara earring. I'm nerdy as shit. I'm the one buying your games, okay? It's not the modern audience. It's people like me.
Now, PlayStation have shown that, say with Marathon, they're willing to throw money at a project if they really have to. But a game like Intergalactic, well, that's over a year away. And if Naughty Dog had already missed several milestones, maybe this increased scrutiny could have
Sponsored by Porsche, by the way.
pushed them back.
Like, why? Why? Because you know what? I'm gonna guess. It's just a little guess here. Porsche did not pay Naughty Dog to be in the game. Naughty Dog probably paid Porsche to have it in the game, to have the licenses. So essentially what you're telling me, you're taking a part of your budget that you could be injecting in the game, that you could be injecting in gameplay mechanics, that you could be injecting in marketing, in your team. This is money that you could give your team. You thought to yourself, hey. What if we put Porsche in the game? What if we put the spaceship out there and we put Porsche? Buddy, do you not understand who your player base is? If you put a Toyota there, that would have resonated way more with me. But a Porsche, I mean, who are we kidding here? This is the joke. This is a joke, and we all know it.
Their old habits. Back to the crunch. Crunch that arguably gutted a lot of that studio's power. Maybe even leading them to the stage where they're struggling.
Bald.
And of course, all of this is especially the case because the studio's leadership has actually been changing. And I think it all basically means big alarm bells are ringing. Since 2023, Neil Druckmann has been studio head and head of creative at Naughty Dog, leading a revamped team right as Intergalactic production was kicking off. But he actually wasn't working on Intergalactic full-time. His attention had been split between developing The Last of Us TV show, which of course is something the PlayStation have been very happy to support, given, you know, game sales, awards, and remember, those game sales
until season 2?
Super old versions of the game. No, they're for the brand new remasters that are still selling for quite a lot of money. So that was going on. But then in September, he actually announced he was returning to Naughty Dog before the filming of season 3 of the TV show. Basically, he said he'd been removed from day-to-day work and that other leaders had stepped up while he was focusing on the show.
I wonder why.
A month later, the Naughty Dog would begin crunching their staff to hit the demo deadline. Now, obviously, I cannot tell you that there is a direct causal link between the return of Druckmann and the crunch that followed. I can't say that Neil just walked back into the office and said, "I'm getting the whip out, boys. Get working because Herman's going to kill us all." I don't know if that happened.
I can, and I'll say it. There's definitely a correlation.
So read this as events that are happening in and around the same time, but are not necessarily causal. But what we can do is we can look at all the pressure that is building on Naughty Dog. We do see a PlayStation that is increasingly ruthless about cutting projects that don't come together. We have a studio head who has returned after the studio had missed multiple deadlines, and a weakened mid-level management that apparently hasn't been able...
Good. Right? I work in sales, okay? And they hired this guy who had 5 years of experience working for another brand and then started working with us. 1 week goes by, no sales. 2 weeks go by, no sales. 3, 4, 5 weeks, 0 sales from this guy. Not only 0 sales, 0 customers spoken to. They fired him. He was a nice guy. He was polite. He was well dressed. He showed up to work on time. Left on time. But he didn't provide. He didn't produce. He didn't do anything good for the company. And I just don't understand this infinite grace that these developers think they deserve. Hey, buddy. You work a job for a company. The company needs money to survive so that investors will invest more money into your projects. Why do you guys think it is okay to miss deadline after deadline after deadline? And you think the players are going to keep showing up? You think investors are going to keep showing up? I am happy that Sony has decided to go mask off with this, and they're like, you know, we're gonna start shutting studios down. We're gonna start firing people. We're gonna start canceling projects. We want results. And honestly, that was the best time of gaming, is when they cared about results more than messaging, more than the modern audience. They were putting out games for their player base, for their consumers.
To deliver a project without hurting its staff. All of that combined into nearly 2 months of crunch. And that is because crunch, in a way, is actually the easy way out. You know, I can predict that the video comments are going to be full of people saying, "Oh my god, these entitled goddamn game developers with basically fake jobs sitting at computers. What a bunch of whiny crybabies. How about they go outside and do a real man's job?" that'll be there in the comments. And look, I know what it's like, say, crunching to get a conservatory done in time. You gotta dig the foundations in time for the concrete that's arriving or something, and yeah, you can't wait. The job has to be done. That's basically, you know, my...
You know, as a person who has worked construction and has work an office job, I'll tell you right now, I much rather be physically tired than mentally tired. Right? I used to do tile setting. It's not an easy job. You're carrying like bags of cement and packets of tile that are between 70 to 100 pounds. It's not an easy job. It's like 50 kilos when you think about it. It's not an easy job, but having to be at a desk and trying to make things work or happen when they're not working out, and then you have your managers and your boss up your ass talking to you about it, the mental exhaustion is real. So I'm not going to pretend like developers have easy jobs. I will say, though, that developers, for whatever reason, think that people should give a shit about their opinion when it comes to politics or how society is run. Hey, buddy, I'm paying you for your game, not your opinion.
Family business. I know what's up there, but a video game is not the same as building a conservatory. I know that a lot of construction projects are a hell of a lot more complicated, but basically, stay with me here. Software is extremely complex, and while crunch will actually get you, it will actually work. You see, that's the thing. Crunch will work. In a limited and specific fashion, you'll accrue a lot of technical debt. You will wear out your team. Because in a world where there's a bit of crunch here and there because, hey, it's the real world, shit goes wrong, I think that's basically okay and completely understandable. But when crunch just becomes the default way to sort things out, well, maybe that's how you end up with a studio like Naughty Dog, one that now is not able to hit its basic deadlines and has not been able to hit multiple of them in a row, basically meaning that Druckmann
Insane.
may be being forced to come back, right? And it's weird because the studio have been talking about fixing the crunch practices for years. They know it's bad. They know it's literally hurting the strength of their team and therefore hurting the amount of video game that they can produce for you. And every time, the people involved probably do mean it when they say they really don't want...
If Intergalactic isn't an absolute banger, 2 more games before Naughty Dog is forgotten.
Crunch.
Including Intergalactic.
They know that it's contributing to attrition, and from what we understand, attrition is fairly high at this studio, even though it's a studio that quite literally makes industry-defining games. But the thing is, Crunch does actually ship games, and it has been shipping games for 20 years, 30 years. We have lots of different terms for it. BioWare Magic is one of them, and more than that, it ships games that top the charts.
Oh yeah, like Mass Effect Andromeda benefited from the BioWare Magic.
So, yeah, they may make some changes and try to plan ahead better. Seemingly, they still do miss the deadlines. They find their build isn't ready for review. It happens again. It happens again. Something's gone wrong in the process. Now they see Sony are cutting staff all over the place. They're killing projects. Maybe Naughty Dog starts to actually get scared because something's gone wrong in planning, and that does not change the fact that they need to ship their work. They can't go back in time to fix the plan, but what they can do is ask more of their staff. That's the easy thing to do, because for a studio like them, it has basically worked every time before. And maybe this early crunch means that staff will avoid crunch whenever release approaches, but it's almost always the case that crunching and crunching and crunching means technical debt and burnt out staff. All things that reduce the efficiency of your team, the efficiency of your development.
Wow, who would have thought overworking your employees for too long wasn't a good idea?
Which probably means that, you know, if I were you, I certainly wouldn't put money on Intergalactic.
No, of course not.
Supposed to come out. But hey, they can always rest easy in the knowledge that the crunch did pay off, that they did win. They completed their demo, but more than that, they actually won an award. It's the inaugural Workers' Choice Award for Worst Crunch Culture at the CWA.
Wow.
Avarice Awards. I wonder what sort of staff reports they got. It'd be pretty cool if one of those staff reports made it into my email inbox. I'd love to hear. But anyway, that is it for this video. Now you guys know what's up. Let me know what your bets are on when Intergalactic will come out, or if it will even come out. And to the award-winning management team at Naughty Dog, congratulations. It's great to see you guys get yet another win. I hope it was worth it. But speaking of worth it, lots of your effort...
Alright, that's good. So there you guys have it, man. Check out the video. I'm gonna show you guys right now his channel. Make sure I'm not even subbed to this guy. I should sub to him. Drop a like. Make sure you check his video out. Also leave a comment. You know, it makes me sad. It really does, because I grew up with Naughty Dog. You know, I grew up playing their games and I loved it. I played all the Jack series except for Jack X and Jack Frontier. I played the Uncharted 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I had a great time. I skipped The Last of Us because it was a buggy mess on PS3, I remember. But, like, you guys have to remember, it's not because it's from Insomniac, it's not because it's from Naughty Dog, that it's from Santa Monica, that it's going to be a good game. You guys have to remember who are the leaders, who is controlling the studio, who's moving the ship forward. That is going to be the indicator onto whether the game is going to be good or not. But that's going to be it for today. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, favorite, and subscribe, because it puts a smile on my face. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Let's hit 500 subs.